dolls, and welcome to this incredible thrift haul. Today I want to share all the wonderful pieces with you that I bought in London and Brighton. This is such a wonderful haul of incredible pieces and I cannot wait to share all of them with you. I quickly want to preface this by saying two things. First of all, I'm a little sick, you might be able to hear it. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. And second, this is definitely more than what I would usually shop. But we knew this trip was coming up for a year, and so I just saved money, put money aside every month, because I knew the vintage in London and Brighton is going to be absolutely incredible. And so this is definitely the most amount of money I've ever spent in a week on vintage pieces. I'm gonna tell you the price of everything. I think it came out to like 200 and something pounds altogether, and this was definitely a different experience from my usual thrifting experiences, because here we don't really have that many curated vintage shops, and so most pieces I usually buy are like a couple of bucks, and I knew going into these curated vintage shops that pieces would be a little more expensive, or a lot more expensive to be honest. But I also wanted to get the experience again because it's been such a long time since I went and shopped actual vintage shops. And I have to say the selection was incredible. I filmed the whole thrifting process. I'm going to link that here for you. But now let me show you all the wonderful pieces that I ended up buying. I'm going to try and tell you the price of everything. However, some are already worn, so I have to see. I kept all of the tags, and so I hope I'll be able to tell you which tag goes with which piece. We'll see. Let's start with this dress. I picked this up at Hazy Days at Snooper's Attic in Brighton, and if you love 60s and 70s clothes, this is the place to go. It's a very curated 60s and 70s shop. They have the most amazing pieces. The owner is quite frankly the loveliest doll I've ever met, and it was so amazing. And I picked up this dress. This is such a dream piece for me. I absolutely adore it. The colors in this and the cut and everything is absolutely stunning. It's a very late 60s psychedelic kind of like mini dress, and I really love it. So the tag actually doesn't have a brand in here. However, it says polyester, a quality product of Hong Kong. That is interesting. And then it just says how to wash it. Yeah, you should wash alone and hand wash only. But now let me read you the little Hazy Days tag, because this has the price and then also a cute little description. So she describes this as 60s psychedelic acid floral print A-line dress, and it was 42 pounds. So this was definitely one of the more expensive pieces I picked up, but I just couldn't pass this up. This is just such a stunning dress. Oh, also there's a try-on portion of me in every dress. If you're new here, I'm currently 5, almost 6 months pregnant, so that's why a lot of these pieces might not look the way that they will end up looking when I wear them postpartum and just in my regular life. The next dress that I picked up at hers is this dreamy dark green velvet dress. For this one, I do not have the tag anymore because I already wore it, but I believe it was also around 30 to 40 pounds, something like that. Now, this is such a stunning dress. I absolutely adore it. I have a couple of dark green velvet dresses. Something about them speaks to me. And then the buttons down the front. This is a very classic late 60s silhouette. I absolutely adore it. It says in here Peggy Lane, which is such a cool brand name, and I absolutely adore it. It is quite short, I have to say that. Usually mini dresses are not that short on me because I'm only 5'3". However, this one is incredibly short, and I don't know whether someone took this in. I'm gonna assume that someone shortened this at some point because the seam down here is like a little wonkier than all the other seams, so that might be the case. But I absolutely adore it. I think it is such a beautiful darling dress, and I cannot wait to wear this. I've, as said, already worn it a couple of times, and I just absolutely adore it. I have such a thing for vintage buttons, and these are just simply to die for. And then I actually picked another piece from her shop because I have been looking for a good suede waistcoat for such a long time now. I love the ones that are a little longer. I think that this is the coolest piece to wear with a mini dress, and she had this one in the dreamiest dark green. It is so heavy. because it is real leather. And then it does have some pockets here, which I think is really cute. This is also in immaculate condition. I often find vintage pieces, whether they're suede or leather, but especially suede, to often be in not the best condition, and I think it is mainly because suede is kind of hard to clean. But this one is really in perfect condition. It does not have any tags or anything, but I just knew I needed it. And I feel like if you just wear this with any plain dress, it just adds so much to the look immediately. Okay, moving on, I went to one more shop in Brighton. Brighton has hundreds of vintage shops, and there were so many beautiful ones. However, I personally found that a lot of the vintage shops are definitely more focused on like modern vintage, the whole 80s and 90s and early 2000s style that is very popular right now. But I went inside this shop called Beyond Retro, and they had a lot of pieces from all decades, which was quite refreshing. And I picked up this piece that is described as dress sold as seen for £37.95. Now, when I tried this on, I thought it was a dress, but looking back and trying it on again now, I'm rather sure it is a coat. I'm speaking of this dreamy piece, and I absolutely love it. As said, it was with the dresses, and I assumed it was a dress, and when I first tried it on, I was like, it's kind of odd how this only has buttons down to like the belly button, but I'm rather sure now that it is a coat, and it is so stunning. First of all, I love the colors. The dark blue, the white flowers, it is so stunning, and then the white detailing on the pockets and the huge oversized dagger collar, that is so cool to me. As said, I just love some good buttons, and now look at these. Aren't they so cool and unique? I feel like £38 is definitely more on the pricier side, but as said, I saved up for this trip, and I really have been wanting a coat like this, like a lighter coat, for a while now, because I only have this, I'm gonna put a picture here, this like vinyl leather one, and it is so sweaty, and I wanted something that was just kind of like a little nicer to wear on chillier days. And this one is so cool. It does have, I'm going to show you in a second, all the tags still in it. Shoebet of London. It's even shower proofed. We recommend this garment to be cleaned dry. So I hope I don't have to clean it. And it even like still has the order thingy and everything in it. Wait, I'm going to show you. Isn't that so cool? I don't know whether this is still shower resistant, just given the fact that this is so many years old. And you can definitely feel down here, which are like areas that aren't as worn in. It's kind of like a little stiffer, which is often the kind of like coating that they put on top of pieces to make them waterproof. But then you can feel up here, like by the sleeves, where you're definitely moving a lot more, so you're breaking in the fabric more. It does not feel like that, so this might not be as shower-proof anymore as it was. But I have to say, I really adore this piece. It's such a wonderful, one-of-a-kind coat. Now, in London, I went into several vintage shops, but I only bought from 3 stores. One was a classic vintage shop, and then 2 were definitely more curated, but they also had really good deals on some pieces. So I'm gonna start with one shop that had like a huge sales rack in the back, and I bought 2 pieces for £5 each, which I felt like was an incredible deal. First thing that I picked at that shop is this wonderful early 70s blouse. I really love it. The colors, the pattern, and then also, as always, the collar. Just by the style of this, it's definitely more of like a 70s piece, and I picked this up because I have lots of blouses that are a little more oversized, and I really like a fitted blouse look too. And I wanted to have this one because it's just a more fitted look. It fit me really well. And I really love the pattern. I think this is so unique, and you could wear it with some orange or some green or just some more purple, honestly. This is the tag. Lady Susan von Maron KG. Oh, this is funny. This is actually German. Look at this. Because in here it says Seidenpolyester, which basically just is a fancier way to say that this is like a nicer kind of polyester, which in the end, it's still polyester. This is still full on plastic, which I know is like a huge thing with 60s and 70s clothes. A lot of 60s and 70s clothes are full on polyester, and I picked up a couple of pieces specifically in London because they weren't polyester, but I don't mind it. I'm personally okay with wearing it. I will not wear this when it is super hot out, but because this is a long sleeve blouse, I figured I would mostly wear this when it is rather chilly out, or like during the fall, winter, spring, and then I don't mind that it is polyester. And the other piece I picked was because I am at a point in pregnancy where things start to not really fit me anymore. This dress does have some room, which is fine, but I'm definitely going to be pregnant for many, many more weeks to come. I'm not due until late September, so we'll see. When I saw this blouse, I got really excited because it is very oversized, and this is definitely something that I would wear post-pregnancy too. I think that this is a very, very cute style, but I love how I can wear it pregnant because this is just going to fit me forever. It is so nice and flowy and oversized, and it also does have the most lovely pattern. I think that this is such a cute piece. I really love the idea of wearing this with just some shorts over the summer. I'm actually going to sew myself a couple of maternity shorts, I think, which you can also wear post-maternity, which I can also wear afterwards. And I think I'm going to make a video about that because I always know that you love to see me sew things, and I feel like this is a very classic 60s thing to like sew your own clothes. And I think I'm going to go off like a very classic 60s pattern, so that might come soon. But yeah, this is definitely also polyester, so I hope because it is a little looser and a little more oversized, it's still going to be a little breezy. Next up, moving on to a shop called Hereafter. This is their tag, and I picked up a couple of pieces there. I bought a couple of pieces from the sales section, and then I also bought one dress at full price. And if you've watched the thrift with me, you know that I was kind of like contemplating, going back and forth whether I really love this dress. But the truth is there are a couple of silhouettes that have been pinned on my Pinterest for years and years, and I am like looking for a couple of specific pieces. And one dress that I have been looking for ages now is one with this like very classic tie front, because this was incredibly popular in the late 60s going into the 70s, and I think it is so cute. And then I also wanted this dress because it is cotton and like linen basically. Also has a German tag, that's funny, but I really love this. Everything, the pattern, the colors. I think this dress was like £45 or something. It was definitely a little more expensive, but it is in immaculate condition. It is so nice and so beautiful, and so I felt like it was just kind of worth it. Just look at the colors, aren't they so stunning? And then I picked up a couple of pieces from their sales section, which I believe were all, yeah, I think they were all £15. So I started with this shirt that I absolutely love. The lurex style was so popular starting in the late 60s and then really taking off in the 70s. And I found this shirt, which is just absolutely to die for. It is stretchy and it has the most amazing balloon sleeves. I love, love, love the fabric, the details, everything. And then also the buttons. These are so cool. However, this is missing several buttons. Like you can definitely see it's missing one up here and then one there. And then it is missing like two or three on each sleeve. So I'll have to see if I can find buttons like this. There is a shop in my hometown that sells like sewing supplies. They have hundreds or maybe even thousands of buttons there. So I think I'm gonna take this there and see if they have some more of these. But this is such a lovely shirt. It does have, oh, that was kind of like, oh yeah, I could have guessed that. It's an Italian brand. I don't know about this brand. I have no clue, but so beautiful, honestly. Such a cool piece, and I feel like while I wear a lot of these like very 60s mod styles, I also really like the late 60s going into the 70s kind of lurex pieces. And then I picked up one more thing there, and this is definitely a little off season right now, but I really wanted this dress. It's I'm gonna assume from the early 70s, just has a really classic cut where it's more fitted on the top and then has a lovely belt with a plastic clasp. Wonderfully beautiful. I absolutely adore this pattern, and also the way that it is sewn is so classic 70s. Like the way that the pattern kind of like moves outwards was a very classic thing to do in the 70s. And then this part up here is knitted and it just has the collar and everything. And I wanted this because I absolutely adored it. It's so stunning. I think this is perfect for fall and winter. But I also wanted it because I know I'm gonna be breastfeeding for a year or so again. And let me just tell you, when I was breastfeeding my son, things that have a zipper in the front are the most convenient thing you can wear. As someone who loves dresses and always had to haggle with like wearing a dress, but then you have to wear shorts or something because you cannot lift your whole dress up and like sit there in underwear. This is the perfect dress, and because I'm due in fall, I feel like this will be my go-to dress all throughout fall and winter. And then we moved on to a place called the Vintage Basement. Now, this place absolutely threw me off. They had a huge sign outdoors that said, all pieces in the basement, £10. And I was like, that's an incredible deal. So maybe they will just have t-shirts or just, some random pieces. And then we went in, and upstairs really was not my style. They had a lot of 80s and 90s pieces. It was a nice shop, but generally I was like, I think we can leave. But then I was like, I'm kind of intrigued now. Let's go to the basement and see. And the basement too had lots of 80s and 90s pieces, but also a bunch of incredible 60s pieces. And I ended up finding 6 pieces for the incredible price of £60 altogether. And I'm so excited to share these with you because, I don't know, this was such a random shop to go into and to get so lucky. I honestly couldn't believe it. I picked up this dress because it reminded me so much of Miss Sharon Tate. Now, I'm thinking about shortening that. However, I will not do that until I'm not pregnant anymore because right now it's really hard for me to figure out the length of things. But look at this dress. The bottom part is a little boring. It's just black. But look at the top part. Isn't this the most stunning dress you've ever seen? Has like all the lace and then almost like a black choker style, and then it does have the same detail down here and on the sleeves. And I absolutely adore this. I feel like this dress is to die for. I really think someone handmade this because you can clearly tell that like a couple things, like the way that this zipper is sewn in with the wrong colored thread, but that's okay. Like, I really don't mind things like that because it just adds to the story of the garment, in my opinion, which makes things way more beautiful. And oh no, it does have a tag, so maybe the zipper was just replaced at some point. It says, oh wait, this is hard to see because it's kind of like going across the fold. Let's see. Oh, okay, so the pink part is like a 6, and then inside of the circle it says After 6 by Ronald Joyce. I'll definitely have to look that up because it does ring familiar for some reason. But isn't this so absolutely stunning? I just fell in love with it. It fit me really well, and I adore it. I cannot wait to wear this. I hope there will be some sort of occasion next year. I'm going to a wedding this weekend, but this is obviously not the attire to wear. But what a lovely dress. I think in the late 60s with the whole medieval revival and also like vampires becoming very on fashion, this was the kind of thing that people really wanted to wear. And for £10, that is such an incredible deal. As said, I was really excited to find a couple more cotton pieces like this dress, which could be from the 50s too, but I do think it's from the 60s. It does have such a lovely pattern, and it's just such a sweet little dress. Honestly, this is such a cute sundress. It goes to a little above my knee. It does have a tiny tag. Oh, the tag just says cotton, so no brand, no nothing. But I really adore it. I felt like this was such a cute little summer dress. And as said, I was really looking for a couple of pieces that weren't polyester. And I'm usually not the biggest fan of like a lower cut dress. I don't even know what it is. I don't have an issue with. It's just that I mostly gravitate towards pieces that have a higher neck because that was a little more popular in the 60s. But this is so stunning, and this definitely was a popular style too. Just imagine this with like some wooden heels and a nice straw basket and like a woven hat or something. That's gonna be my summer look. You will see me wear this several times this summer. Which, speaking of dresses, you will see me wear this summer. This one I also picked up there. And it's just so lovely, honestly. It's a very late 60s, reminded me a lot of Cass Elliot because she has this one like patchwork dress that she looks so stunning in. And this isn't actual patchwork, like the fabric is just printed in that way. But with the pink details and everything, I absolutely fell in love with this dress. And it is so cute. And despite what it may look like, I was a little concerned that this would be very see-through, but with white underwear, you're absolutely fine in this. And I love it. It even has like a little elastic back here, which does give it a nice shape. And I really love it. I think that this is such a sweet and beautiful long maxi sundress. And it is cotton, so it's going to be absolutely lovely all summer long. I always tell myself that these are a little inconvenient, but I cannot seem to pass them up. They're these pieces that are like a little too short to be a dress, but a little too long to be a blouse. This is what I'm talking about. I can definitely wear this as a dress, but I would have to wear something underneath because they're just so short. I think in the try-on I wore it as a dress and I just pinned it shut down here. But it is such a beautiful piece, and I feel like it would also be cool open, just with like some red, white, and blue underneath. This is such a classic 60s color combo. I love the pattern, and then I really love the structured fabric up here. Do you see this? And then of course all the wonderful buttons. You just really get me with like a good vintage button. Yeah, this was £10 as well, and I really love it. I think this was mostly worn with like a mini skirt underneath, which does look quite cute. So that might be an option for me as well, because then the skirt is just peeking out a little bit underneath it. But I really love it. And yes, this is polyester. And the downside to polyester is obviously the feel, but I have to say the upside of polyester is all these incredibly vibrant patterns and colors. Speaking of polyester pieces, I also found this skirt. And do you see how this is kind of doing the same thing that I showed you with the dress, where the stripes are not straight across, but kind of like going up or down in this case, in the way that it is sewn together. I don't know how to explain it, but this was really popular in the 70s. And this is such a sweet little red mini skirt. And I do have one red mini skirt, but it just does not fit me right. And it did kind of bother me because I find myself often looking for a red skirt because red goes so well with so many pieces. It's one of my favorite colors to style. So I'm very glad that I found this skirt, and it is so cute, and I love these stripes. I feel like it immediately takes you back in time. And then I picked up one more final piece. Now this one, I just fell in love with the pattern. Something about the pattern is so distinctly 60s that I knew I needed to have it. But then I also, when trying it on, really fell in love with the cut. So this is the dress. Look at the pattern and the colors. That's definitely also like a late 1960s piece. And it is very sweet because of this little bow right here, which I feel like is such a nice little 60s detail. Imagine wearing this with like some tights in either that color or that. I mean, even white tights or no tights. But with some colored tights, I think I need to get a pair that's either this or that color. That would be perfect. And I also need to iron this at least a little bit because the inside here keeps popping up, which is something that often happens when they have this layer underneath. So if you've ever wondered, when these dresses are made, then this layer gets inserted here so that it does have a little more shape up here, because otherwise something like this might happen a lot, which I often experience with like dresses that only have a little bit of fabric here, no weight to it, might flip up. And so they add that bit and it usually gets ironed on, but it just adds a little more structure to the dress. But the issue is that this fabric, once it's like crumbled, it's really crumbled, and so it will push up the rest of the fabric, so you will have to like iron it down. And I have had the experience of the ironing not really working, and then I usually just cut it out because you can't really wear it like this. It looks so awkward. But yeah, there's just a little 60s styling tip on my end. It's funny because I used to stay away from green for a while. I don't even know why. I always was like, oh, I don't like green. Same with blue. But I feel like I actually do like colder colors now. I've never done a color analysis. I have no idea what they would say or whatever. And I, quite frankly, don't really care about it. Because I believe you should wear whatever you want to wear. But I don't even know. I always assumed that I looked better in warm colors. But I'm kind of starting to question that, if I'm being honest. But yeah. I will not limit myself to warm or cold colors. I'll just wear whatever I want. And that was my wonderful London and Brighton haul. I really hope you enjoyed it. I cannot believe how lucky I got. It's incredible to me. Wait, I just remembered. I think I have something in my notes app because I think I kept track of what I bought on here. Let's see. Okay, hold up. I need to calculate it. But I did put all my numbers down. That's interesting. I spent $60 for the 6 dresses at the Vintage Basement. Then I spent 10 at Kilo Vintage, which were the 2 blouses. I spent 75 at Hereafter, which was the store where I got the dress with like the tie detail. I spent 108 at Hazy Days because she gave me a little bit of a discount, which was so lovely and nice. And then I spent 38 at Beyond Retro. So that comes out to £291, which is around 340 euros, which is so much money to spend on clothes in a week, which is just why I want to emphasize again that I knew this trip was coming up for a year, and so I just set money aside every single month so that I like build a little London shopping fund. And there was more money in that. I think it was at $500 or something, but that's okay. Now that money will just go to something else. But yeah, I just want to say this again because I often get comments of people saying I could never afford that and how to build a wardrobe like that. And I've been dressing like this for going on 10 years, I'd say. So I have not built this collection overnight, and it is not normal for me to spend that much money in a week. I just wanted to clarify that. But I feel like if you watch a lot of the Thrift With Me's, you know that I usually do not spend that much. I usually spend like 30 or 40 euros when I go out, and I'm good for a month or two. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed shopping and sharing all these wonderful finds with you. I would love to know which of these was your favorite find, and if there's something from the Thrift With Me video that you would have picked up that I didn't. Because when I watched back that footage, I was like, oh, why did I not get this or that? They were all so beautiful. But yeah, you can't have it all. But thank you so much for checking in and spending time with me today, dolls. Of course, my camera died the moment I was wrapping up filming. But yeah, I hope you have a beautiful day. Go out, enjoy the sunshine. Take yourself some time to focus on you and your mental health today. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye, dolls.